All right. Make sure this live stream is going good. Let's see. Sound. Let's see if I can hear. All right. Yeah, that's good right there. All right. Shalom Akim. Before I begin this live stream, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And I would like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continually rule well. That's continually feeding the flock through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And shalom and peace and safety to the hopefully elect that's also doing its work in all faith, true, and sincerity. Now, the topic of this live stream, man, is going to be pretty much the next installment of Sharpening Iron. All right, because with the title of Sharpening Iron, it pretty much lines up with Scripture. To pretty much, sharpen ourselves in the Scriptures to pretty much answer all questions that anyone may have. Especially concerning the prophecies. Okay, that's our main thing, so to speak. Our main objective is prophecy. All right, because we dwell in prophecy. We always speak about prophecy. All right, because that's the time that we're living in today, man. All right, the time that we're living in today is it's the time of judgment, man. Into the time of where these prophecies are starting to happen. All right, as the time goes on, man. All right, as things happen around the world. Okay, because we're set up as the watchman. Okay, because the watchman is the job of a watchman is to watch, to see what's pretty much going on, man, and to warn the people. All right. But another thing that about being a watchman is to pretty much it falls right in line with being a prophet. All right, because a prophet is also known as a seer. All right. So if you know anything about a seer, pretty much a seer, if you just break down the word, seer is just someone that sees what's in front of them, man. All right. Just like the prophecies. All right. Just like things that happen around the world that lines up with prophecy, that lines up with the scriptures. All right. And that's what we are, man. We're seers. All right. We're prophets. We're watchmen. Okay. But getting back into the topic of the live stream, man, pretty much, sharpening iron. The scriptures say iron sharpening iron. So pretty much we're just to sharpen ourselves in the scriptures and to make sure that we're all on point, man. All right. And especially concerning the major prophecies, especially Revelation 13, prophecies that happened back in the past, such as Daniel 7. All right. Second Ezra, the 11th and 12th chapter. All right. And other scriptures like that, man. Because, you have, guys come in and, they pretty much kind of new to this thing of ours. All right. This truth, and pretty much we have to go back and review, so to speak, on the prophecies that we are pretty much the videos that was done back in the past that's kind of gotten, buried under the other videos. All right. And also too, just to pretty much refresh yourself as man. All right. Because especially when you have oil and you burn that oil, you have to keep replacing that oil, man. You have to replenish it. All right. So to keep the fire burning. All right. So that's another reason why this series is sharpening iron, because once again, you got to keep that oil, man. All right. You have to keep the oil, which is the oil represents the understanding. All right. The understanding of the scriptures. Okay. The understanding of the Bible, the knowledge, the truth. All right. Because, that lines right up with the parable of the 10 virgins, man. The 5 that were wise and the 5 that were foolish. The ones that were wise had enough oil to make the journey, but the ones that were foolish weren't able to make that journey because they didn't have enough oil. All right. So right now, we pretty much have the whole container of oil, man, to make the journey. All right. So in order to keep that oil, as we burn the light as we continue on the journey towards salvation, so to speak, to the time when to the wedding, right, which is the wedding of Israel with Yahweh Shai, which is starts with the elect, the 144,000. So you got to keep that oil, man. All right. You got to have the whole container of oil you have to have enough oil to make the journey, man. If you don't have enough oil to make the journey, then you're going to get lost. All right. You're going to get lost in darkness, pretty much. Okay. But that parable about the 10 birds, man, that pretty much goes into a whole lesson in itself, man. But just for the sake of time, because pretty much I'm doing this in the evening right now. So the place where I'm at right now don't they pretty much don't stay open too long. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right to the point of this video, which is concerning Revelations the 13th chapter, in which this is it's kind of short. It's kind of a short chapter, and some of it, actually most of it, talks about now in this time, and the rest talks about um, history, right? Because that's another thing too, in dealing in the scriptures, because you had to have a feel for history. All right, and let me go ahead and slack you. I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen right quick while I explain it. But yeah, you have to have a feel for history if you're gonna go into the scriptures, man. You have to know the different empires. You have to know the different kingdoms that were set up. Different events that happen not only in America but also around the world. Different battles, wars. And things that took place in history, man. You have to be a historian, man. All right. Now that doesn't mean you have to know every single thing about history, but you have to know a good amount of historical events. All right, especially concerning the different empires that came before this kingdom or this rulership, which is America, which America's in the power seat now. So once again, you have to have a feel for history. All right, so just to go ahead and get into the topic. This is Revelation chapter 13, and it starts at verse 1. And it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. All right, so now this is John the Revelator, right, when he was exiled to the Isle of Patmos, right? He received this vision, and he saw a beast come up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, right? And the horns had 10 crowns, and the heads the name of blasphemy. All right. So those 7 heads and 10 horns that's talking about here, which also goes into the 10 crowns, pretty much that's NATO and the EU. All right. The 7 heads and 10 horns, because the 7 heads and the 10 horns, that being representation of the NATO and EU, those countries or those names have changed. All right. Because back then, countries such as or should I say, like the Spanish or the Spanish, the British, the French, they had different names back then from what they are today. Because back then, they had the Spanish is known as Hispaniola, I believe, or Hispania, Slovakia. It was Hispania, and Britain was Britannia, and so on and so forth, man. All right. Then you had Germania Major, Germania Minor. All right. Then you had the Romans, the Greeks. All right. So the names have changed, man. All right. But it's still the same, it's still the same power structure. All right. So that's why you have the 7 heads and 10 horns. And but those are concerning the 7 heads, but the 10 horns represent the EU. All right. Because with the 10 horns, basically before it was known as the EU, originally it was called the ECC, which is on the European, actually EEC, Slovakia, EEC, was the European Economic Community. All right. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was established in 1957. But I can fact check it. I'm about to fact check in a minute. But Yeah, it was first established as the EEC. When it's first, it was comprised of um, six members, right? Six parties. So it was known as the six back then. It was set up as the first six, which and then they called it the EEC. All right, and then afterwards they added on more, which became 10. All right, because a couple of those members um, stem from the same how should I put it? Stem from the same country. All right, but broke off and deemed independence from one another. All right, which still makes up the 10 horns. Okay. Now it says, and upon his horns, 10 crowns, read none, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. All right. Because also, too, he even goes, I believe the Slakia, concerning the original names. I remember his Hispania, Britannia, Germania Major, Germania Minor, then you had the Greeks and the Romans, and then you had the French, if I'm not renaming any of them. But if I remember the French was known as the Gauls. All right. See, back then you had names like the Gauls, you had the Visigoths, all right, so on and so forth. All right. So, like I said before, just the names have changed. All right, just to reiterate before I move on. So, once again, the 7 heads and 10 horns represents NATO and the EU. Okay. Now, verse 2, it says, "In the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, in his feet were as the feet of a bear, in his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." All right. So it says right here that on the beast was that which he saw was like unto a leopard, and I'm about to get that in a second. And his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So where it speaks about it was like unto a leopard, if you go to the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and if you go up to verse 6, and it reads, "After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard," and this is the vision that Daniel received, right? And it says, "which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it." All right. So this leopard, and I covered this in the last installment of the series, where I went into the leopard. The leopard represents the Greeks or the Greek Empire, because like I mentioned in the live stream, which I did, um, in his factual, you can look it up yourself. The leopard, Alexander the Great, which was the founder of the Greek Empire, his symbol was the leopard. All right, because he carried the symbol of a leopard with him. All right. So the leopard represented the Greek Empire, which started with Alexander the Great, and which had upon the back of it 4 wings, right? Like it says right here. It says, which speaks about this beast. It says, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it, because this empire was broken up into 4 parts, which was given to his 4 generals. All right, you had I believe it was Lysimachus, or however you want to call it. Have trouble with his name, but I think it was Lysimachus. It was Cassander, and then you had Seleucus, and then you had Ptolemy. All right, those are the 4. Okay. It said the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Now, there's another scripture which is in verse 5, which I'm about to read in a second. But let me go back to Revelation 13 and 2. And it says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." So we already covered the part about the leopard, in which that started with the Greeks, in which the Greeks back then, or should I say the original Greeks back then, were were known as the Minoans and Etruscans. All right, and actually they were a dark nation, which they were of Japhet. All right, so back then the original Greeks, before Alexander the Great, which they call him the Great, which we know he's not so great, but the um, the original Greeks were Japhetic people. All right, they were of the nation of Japhet. All right, but after Alexander the Great came into his power, which was given to him by Yahweh Shem Shai to fulfill prophecy, they were pretty much they were pushed out. All right, but the original Greeks, once again, like I said before, they were the Japhites. All right, and you can find them today in the Pacific Islands. You know, like the Samoans and the pretty much the Samoans. Even Hawaii, man, you can find them there. All right. So and also too with the Minoans and Etruscans, as far as concerning the nation of Japhet, if you actually look up their I shouldn't say architecture, but their art, um, usually they paint the men and the women differently, because with the men they paint them dark, but the woman they paint them white. All right. But once again, like I said before, those were pretty much those were a dark. That was a dark nation. They're still dark to this day, man. All right, because all the nations except for Esau, because Esau, and there's a reason why Esau is excluded, is because the nations all have pigmentation. All right, except for Esau. All right, even Moab and Ammon had pigmentation. All right, but as you see today, you don't find that too often now. All right, because of throughout the course of history, it's pretty much migration from different lands. So you have mixing of different people. So that's why Ammon and Moab, which is the so-called Japanese and Chinese, they look the way they, the skin colors or the skin tone is the way it is now. All right, it has it looks pale. All right, but the reason why they pretty much Esau calls them yellow is because they still have that hint of melanin within their skin, but yet due to pretty much mixing in of different nations, or should I say the mixing in of Esau, pretty much that's the skin color change. All right, because that's what happens when you mix two nations, such as, like, say for instance you have an Israelite and an Edomite, right? And depending on what the father is, that's what the child is. But throughout the course of history, you might have that child being his father might be Israelite and his mother might be Edomite. He's still an Israelite, but he might go and marry another Edomite, right? Or have pretty much have a child with another Edomite, and then that child's an Israelite. And then he goes and have children with another Edomite, and the line continues. So therefore, the skin tone, the skin tone would completely change after a while, man. All right. So that's the thing about these different nations. Going back to what I was saying earlier, these nations all have melanin in their skin except Esau. All right, Esau is the only nation that doesn't have melanin in their skin, and the reason why, like I said earlier, is because he's marked. All right, he's pretty much marked to let you know who the wicked is, man. Just to put it simply. All right, because that mark, which Cain, the brother Abel, the mark that he received, carried over to Esau. All right, because there's a thing such as reincarnation, and I know people out there refute that that fact about reincarnation, because pretty much that they don't understand the Bible, understand the scriptures, but that's how it is, man. All right, because you had Cain that had that mark back when he was alive, And then after that came Esau, which carried the same mark. All right. That's why his name is Esau. All right, because that mark is leprosy. Okay. That's why they gave Esau his name. His name in the Hebrew is Aishash, which means wasted away is he. All right, because he has no melanin. All right. But getting back to the topic, I didn't want to get too far off the subject. Going back into Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, where it speaks about the leopard. So we know that the leopard is talking about the Greek Empire. All right, started with Alexander the Greek, and it says in his feet, whereas the feet of a bear, and which this part, the feet, whenever the scriptures speak about the feet of something, that means it's the end of something. All right, that's what it means by the feet. Okay, and it says it has the feet of a bear, so it was specific about what the feet was. It said it was the feet of a bear. Now you go back to Daniel chapter 7, verse 5, and it reads, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said, thus unto it arise, devour much flesh. All right. So right here, man, that this bear in this scripture right here is talking about the Medes. All right, which afterwards the Persians overtook the Medes. That's why it's known as the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, because the Medes were in power first off, and then came the Persians. Okay, that's why the bear raised itself on one side. But the reason why I brought this out is because that bear represents specifically the Medes. Because what you have today, in as of 2017, man, the country that carries the symbol of a bear is none other but Russia. All right, Russia carries that bear. All right, that's why Russia is known as the Russian bear. Okay, so right here it's saying the beast which you saw was like unto a leopard. Right, we had the body of a leopard, and then it said his feet was the feet of a bear. Why? Because the end of the rulership is going to be due to the bear, which is Russia. All right. So that's why I said the feet was the feet of a bear, because Russia is the modern day Medes. All right. Because why? Because Russia is actually resides, or should I say the country is in the same part of the world where the Medes were. All right, where the Medes were residing. That's why it was known as the land of the Medes. All right, you had especially you had Gog and Magog. Now, if you go and read Ezekiel 38, it speaks about Gog and Magog is actually in the land of the Medes. All right, so when it speaks about Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38, that's talking about Russia. Okay, now let me fix this up real quick. All right. Now, continuing on, it says, in his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. All right, because pretty much the mouth being as the mouth of a lion pretty much symbolizes speaking great things, which is going to get into later on in the scripture. Okay. And also, too, not only that, it's power. All right, because the scripture where it speaks about the great iron teeth. All right, I believe it's in the same chapter in Daniel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure this is it. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. All right. So pretty much, it bears similarity to what I'm reading in Revelation chapter 13, verse the whole chapter, actually. It's the same. It's actually bear resemblance to this whole chapter in Revelations. But the reason why I read Daniel 7:7 is because the great iron teeth, in which iron, if you go to the book of Daniel chapter 2, verse let's see, I'll go up a few verses up. Yeah, if you go to verse 40, it says, in the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, in which this chapter is talking about when Daniel pretty much broke down the vision of that statue that had the head of gold and the breasts of silver. Then you had the loins were of bronze, and then the legs, the thigh and the leg were iron, and then the feet was iron mixed with clay. All right, so we're speaking about the fourth kingdom right now, which was the iron, right? And it says, "For as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and so doeth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise." All right. So there you go, man. And the reason why it's known as the iron because the army, the military, all right, because Rome was known for its military, man. All right, and it still is known for that today, man. All right, that's pretty much the number one highlight of Rome, which was its military. All right, that's why the scriptures speak about the Roman Empire as being as iron. All right, and and pretty much able to break in pieces. Okay. And going back to Revelation chapter 13, verse 2. And see, now we know what it means by the mouth as of a lion, right? So now we cover the leopard and the feet of a bear, and then the mouth as a lion. And then the next part of the verse, it says, "And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." All right. And which the dragon, which if you look at that word dragon, I believe I already know the definition of it, but I believe you look at the word dragon. Let's see if I can get it real quick. Yeah, it was Draco, which they got it right here. Said name for Satan, which that's not what it means. All right, but it does say a great serpent. All right, a fabulous kind of serpent. Okay, so the serpent, which we know today, is Esau. All right, because if you go to Revelations, the 12th chapter, let's see if I can go back. All right, it's Revelation chapter 12, verse 3. And it says, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head." See, and there it is again, man. Is that same 7 heads and 10 horns, man. It's still carrying that same number. All right. And it speaks about this one as a great red dragon, in which the great red dragon, the reason why that dragon is red is because Esau is known as the red man, man. All right. Why is that? Why is Esau known as red? Is because his pigmentation is completely lost, man. And the only thing that's going to show through is his blood. All right. That's why if you go back to Genesis chapter 25, where it speaks about when Esau was born, it described him as red all over like a hairy garment. All right. Now that doesn't mean that he came out the garment as being hairy, because that's what these unlearned so-called Christians saying that Esau was hairy, he was had hair all over when he came out the womb. No, that doesn't mean that. He said he was red all over like in a hairy garment. All right. It didn't say he was red all over as a hairy garment. He said he was red all over like a hairy garment. All right. That's reading comprehension, man. Okay. I mean, that's reading 101. That's English 101, man. It's true. That's elementary school English, man. Learning how to read. Okay. So it says he's red all over like in a hairy garment. So he was red all over, man. He pretty much his blood showed forth through his skin. That's why once again they gave him his name Esau, which means wasted away is he. All right. So that dragon, which speaking about in Revelation 12, is that same dragon that's in Revelation 13. All right. Now, going back to the same part, it said, and the dragon gave him his power, talking about Esau, and his seat and great authority. Okay, because all your members of pretty much the higher ups in this kingdom is Esau. All right, Esau's in the power seat. He pretty much he has his power given to him by Yahweh Shem Yahushua to rule up to a certain amount of time. All right. Now that shows you that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is fair. He even gave the lowest form of life a kingdom. So even Yahweh Shem Yahushua is fair in doing that. All right, he did. You can't say that he didn't give everyone a chance to rule. All right, but since everyone had that time to rule, now it's time for his kingdom to be established, right? And Esau's kingdom is about to be taken out of the way. All right, it's about to be completely destroyed by Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right, which Yahweh Shai is going to return, and pretty much this land that you see now, which is known as America, is going to be a complete desert. All right. So now reading on, this is verse 3, and it says, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. All right. Now in this particular verse right here, it says, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death. Now one of the heads, as I believe it, the 7 heads, especially the 7 heads and 10 horns. If I can pull up a picture of it, but I'm gonna go off muscle memory. So you had the Greeks, you had the Greek, French, Spanish, Britannia, Germania Major, Germania Minor, which makes up 6 heads, and then the 7th head makes up Rome. All right. Now, one of the heads that was wounded to death was Rome. All right. Because Rome had a great fall, man. All right. So one of the heads that were wounded to death was actually the Roman Empire. Okay. Because like I said before, you had the Spanish, right? You had the French, you had the Greeks, the Romans, German, Germania Major, Germania Minor, so on and so forth. But it's the same red dragon, which is Esau. All right. Because the heads of those countries, should I say, or those heads and the horns, that's Esau. All right. So which makes up the dragon, which once again, like I said before, pretty much the power structure, or the one that's in power right now, is Esau. All right. Edom. All right. Now it says, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, talking about the Roman Empire, right? Because it fell. And it said, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. So what's that talking about now? All right. Now it's telling you that the deadly wound was healed. We're talking about the Roman Empire. But if you go throughout the course of history, if you actually do your research and you try to look for when the Roman Empire was reestablished, you won't be able to find that. All right. You will not be able to find that, man. Okay, because you can't even say that the Rome was established again through the Roman Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church, because that's just it. It was known as a Roman Catholic Church. It wasn't an actual empire. All right, because during that time, it wasn't the rule of Caesars and different rulers and kings and such of that nature. Back then, Slovakia. Let me rephrase that. You didn't have the rule of Caesars, but you did have kings that had to pretty much answer to the church, because back then the church was known as the ruling power back then. All right, because the kings would have to go to the church to gain authority to do certain things. All right, so that's why it was known as the Roman Catholic era. All right, But still, that Roman Empire, as you know it, or should I say, the pagan Roman Empire was had declined and it pretty much fell. All right. So it was wounded to death, and the deadly wound was healed. Right. In which that deadly wound being healed is pretty much that's talking about America, man. All right. That's why it says all the world wondered after the beast. All right. Why is that? Because the same structure and the same infrastructure, the same architecture, the same political powers that's back here today. The same thing they had back then during the Roman Empire, they have it here today, man. All right. In the same way that's going to fall is that the Roman Empire fell is going to be the same way that America fall, but it's going to be different because this place is going to be leveled by ICBMs, or along with Yahweh Shai. All right. So I'm going ahead and grab this let's see. Yeah, I got this article right here about Huffington Post, right? And the title is "In the Footsteps of Ancient Rome, Does the U.S. Have a Chance?" And the answer, we already know the answer to that. The answer is no, they don't. All right, but just to, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go read every single paragraph. I'm just going to read the bullet. So the first one is financial exhaustion from endless war, the middle class sinking into debt and poverty, the poor even more. All right, so decimation of the middle class, in which there was never such thing as a middle class. You know, they just throw that out there. You know, people that was, you know, they're saying that people right, you know, right in the middle between rich and poor, in which, you know, there's no such thing as that. All right, you have the rich and you have the poor. All right, if you don't have the same assets as these banking families do, such as the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, then you're pretty much you're not rich, man. You're not a part of the rich. You're poor. All right, because you're getting fed crumbs. Even the ones that think themselves that they're rich, you know, like the ones in the industry, like movies and music and stuff like that. You know, actors, they may think that they're rich, but no, they're just getting crumbs. All right, compared to, you know, ones that call themselves middle class. All right. So yeah, the middle class sinking into debt and poverty, and the poor even more. You had decline in literacy. You had the spread of escapist cults, and then you had decay of infrastructure. And which, you know, especially number 4, because you had the thing in Rome about pretty much you had a different diversity of religions in Rome, man. All right. And just like today, you had different religions here in America. You had different types of worship. You know, pretty much you can worship Satan if you wanted to. You can worship the woman if you wanted to. You can worship money if you wanted to. You know, even on that level, you can worship fertility gods if you wanted to. You know, you can worship Egyptian gods if you wanted to. You can worship Babylonian gods. All right, you can worship any god you want to over here in America, man. That's pretty much that's pretty much showing you that what should I say? That's pretty much showing you another reason or another sign that this is the same as Rome, man. America is pretty much the Roman Empire brought back. All right, so you had decayed infrastructure, in which, if you look up the grade of the infrastructure here in America, I believe is a D. All right, which slowly but surely is going to an F. All right, because you got roads that's pretty much broken up. You had, you know, pretty much in another event that happened recently in Georgia, a bridge collapsed over in Georgia, man. All right, I believe it was near the interstate, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so yeah, decaying infrastructure, which I just told you an example, and then you had ecology. Oh, it's like ecological. It's like degradation. It's like ecological degradation, in which pretty much that's your ecosystem, man. You know, you got diseases and stuff like that. You know, um, and pretty much, you know, they're just destroying the environment. All right. So all of this is bears similarity to the Roman Empire, in which that just goes to show you that that's the deadly wound that was healed. All right. So once again, it's showing you that America is Rome all over again. All right. And also too, I didn't mean to completely forgot to bring this out. But the EEC, which should I say NATO and the EU, and specifically the EU, Slovakia, they were brought together with a treaty. All right. During the whenever they established the EEC, which is the European Economic Community. And on that treaty that set them up was called none other but the Treaty of Rome, man. All right. So what is the coincidence of the EU, right, which was known as the EEC, which makes up the the 10 horns in the prophecy, in the scriptures? What a coincidence would it be that they would be set up by a treaty which was named by the Treaty of Rome? All right, there's no coincidence about it, man. All right, because this is all scriptural. This is all prophecy. Okay, so there you go, man. It was set up by the Treaty of Rome, in which we just got done explaining, right, about the deadly wound that was healed. Okay, so here you go, man. The EEC was set up by the Treaty of Rome. Let me read it real quick. It says the Treaty of Rome officially the treaty establishing the European Economic Community, in which they renamed it that because they tried to get away from the name Treaty of Rome, but originally it was known as the Treaty of Rome, and then they changed the name because these are devils, man. They try to cover their tracks. All right. It says Slovakia, treaty of the functioning of the European Union. Slovakia, that's what they renamed it to. It says is an international agreement that brought about the creation of the European Economic Community, the best known of the European communities. It was signed on March 25th, 1957, in which that's fact check right there, 1957. So I was right. By Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and West Germany, which makes up the original 6. All right. And came into force on January 1st, 1958. It remains one of the 2 most important treaties in the modern day European Union. All right. So the TEC proposed the progressive reduction of customs duties and the establishment of a customs union. It proposed to create a single market for goods, labor, services, capital across the EEC's member states. It also proposed the creation of a common agricultural policy, a common transport policy, and a European Social Fund, and established the European Commission. The treaty's name has been retrospectively amended on several occasions since 1957. Like I said before, they try to get away from that. All right, try to get away from the name, which is known as the Treaty of Rome. All right. Says the Maastricht Treaty of 1992 removed the word economic from the Treaty of Rome's official title, and in 2009, the Treaty of Lisbon renamed it the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union. So there you go. All right. But they were established under the Treaty of Rome, man. Okay. So once again, they're just showing you that once again, it's the Roman Empire all over again, man. All right. So now reading on, this is verse 4. It says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who was like unto the beast? Who was able to make war with him? All right. So there you go, man. Who was able to make war with them? All right. So who was able to make war with Esau, man? All right. Like I said before, it's that same military might that you saw back in the Roman Empire that you see it today, man. But the reason why one of the reasons why they fell, because their army was spread too thin. Now that's the same thing with America. America's army is spread too thin. All right. So actually, I got this another picture up real quick. I could show you this. Now this is a global expansion of U.S. military involvement. All right, and this is actually dated 2005. So as you can see here, you can pretty much see that it's lit up, man. All right. So you have different base locations, and pretty much these are the base locations right here in America. And you have some down here. You have some stationed over here. You have a lot in Japan, and you have more that's spread out. All right. So all this right here is especially here, because this is post 1993. This is after the Gulf War. All right, the Persian Gulf War, also known as Operation Desert Shield. All right. So he had this big part right here and this big part over here, and you see, and it's pretty much his army is spread all throughout the world. All right. So going back to Revelation 13, continuing on, verse 5, it says, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven." All right. So what's that talking about, man? All right. Well, it speaks about he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High. All right. To blaspheme his name. All right. Which we already see that today. You know, people call him, Jesus and God and Jehovah or whatever, and his tabernacle and to them that dwell in heaven. Now, the them that dwell in heaven is talking about us, man. Okay. And it says in his tabernacle. All right, because the tabernacle that's being built right now is the tabernacle of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, which consists of the elect along with the 1/3. All right. So it's being rebuilt to this day, man. And you see that now with the men of the Lord out on the highways and byways, prophesying and teaching, putting up videos. All right. And it also says in them that dwell in heaven. All right. And that's us, man. Okay. Now, verse 7, it says, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations." All right. So pretty much, man, all the way from the time of 70 AD, when we were pushed out of the land of Israel by General Titus during that time. All right, up until now. Okay. Because that's why he has us over here in slavery, man. All right, because Esau, starting with the banking families, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, so on and so forth, they know who we are. All right. So therefore, pretty much they have us until we're a state or where we can't recover, and it's called manifest destiny, because they know that we're the people of the Lord. They know that we're Israelites, right? So that pretty much they're taking advantage of the curses that we're under. All right. And the other nations know who we are too. Okay. Now it says, I'm gonna read verse 7 again. It said, "It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations." And see, I just showed you earlier in this map, man. All right. See, America is known as the great empire today, man. All right. It's known as the golden city. All right. Which, once again, America is known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures. That golden city. Okay. Now, reading on, it says, verse 8, "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." All right. Now we know that Lamb, talking about Yahweh Shai, man. All right. It says, and really, looking at it from here, man, it says, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life. Because you can see where it speaks about opening his mouth against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and blaspheming the name and tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. The ones that dwell in heaven is the elect, man. All right. Now the ones that dwell on earth, 2/3. All right, they're gonna worship him, man, and they worship him to this day, man. They worship Esau. They run They run behind the coattails of Esau. All right. Saying that you're pretty much being Uncle Tom's, man. Saying, oh, he's not all bad. He's all good. Or this and that and the third, try to make up excuses for Esau in his track record. And not only that, these other nations too, man. They look at the so-called white man as the hero. All right. That's why he tried to put his face on all different types of different historical figures. All right. And try to make himself look like he did all those works back then in the history. Not knowing that pretty much he destroyed the images and put himself up as pretty much people of history, going all the way back to the even going back to the time of the Ptolemies, man, because the Ptolemies put themselves up as the Egyptians. All right, that's why you have things like the pharaohs, different statues and tombs. That's why you still see that their nose and mouths intact. All right. But others, you have nose and lips chipped off and broken. All right. So there you go. Continue on. This is verse 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saint. So pretty much him taking us into slavery, man, he's got to pay for that. All right. Him killing our people with the sword, which is the modern day, even going back to the time of the Romans, man. All right. Killing us with the sword, which is the pretty much the regular sword, right, which is made of steel. And now today, the modern day sword being the gun, all right. This different weaponry that he has. All right. Because remember, Esau's blessing was the sword, man. All right. So right now he's using his blessing on us, man. All right. That's the Lord's whipping stick. Okay. So it say he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So pretty much that, that's clear cut to the point, man. Esau is not going to have an easy ride out of it, man. All right. He's going to go right into slavery as it should be. All right. And he's gonna pretty much pay for all the things that he's done to our people, man. All right. He has to pay the tab, man. He sold tribulation to us. He sold slavery to us. All right. He pretty much sold war and deceit. All right. Anguish. Right. So guess what? He got to reap that, man. That's why the scriptures say, be not deceived, for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is not mocked, man. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. So guess what? Since this man reaped, it's like that he sold blood. Guess what? He's going to reap blood, man. So it's going to come right back on his own head. All right. And it's the patience of the faith of the saints. And we're patiently waiting for that, man. All right. But the rest, they're not waiting on that, man. They don't see them. They don't see the so-called white man going into slavery. All right. Now, verse 11, and it said, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, which that word dragon again, right, it was Esau. But this time it's speaking about a lamb with two horns, man. All right. Now, those two horns, if you know anything about the definition of a horn, pretty much the horn represent power. All right. So as you see in this verse, it said he had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. So those two horns represent two powers, right? And spake as a dragon, which once again is Esau. And those two horns represent the political powers, man. All right. That's being the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. All right. Shalom up is got thy servant in here. This is Quana Shalom up. So yeah, man. Going to the two horns once again, pretty much that represents the two parties, which represents the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. All right, and it spake of the dragon, which is Esau. All right, so really the blaspheming the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua and pretty much speaking against the Most High. you know, and the way he's doing that is by his legislation, man. All right, different laws that he got set up, different mandates that he have set in place, giving rights to homosexuals, you know, um, pretty much putting the woman above the man or making the woman equal to the man, giving them rights, that are above the men. Democracy, voting, stuff like that. That's pretty much that's speaking up against Yahweh Shemiel Shai, man. All right. That's that little horn was spoken by in Daniel the 7th chapter. That's that little horn speaking great things, man. Okay. Now it's verse 12. And it says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose daily wound was healed. All right. So right here is telling you that he's exercising all the power of the first beast, right? Was the first beast before him was the Roman Empire. All right. And it said, and caused the earth and then was dwelling in to worship the first beast, right? Was Roman Empire once again, whose daily wound was healed, which, like I explained earlier, that part where it speaks about the daily wound that was healed, that's talking about the Roman Empire coming back, which is by way of America. All right. So really, these people that like the scriptures say, will worship the first beast before them. All right. Pretty much the worship of America, right? If you're with the American way of life, if you're with the American dream, if you pretty much speak good about America, or you with that American pride, if you support America and anything that it does, you're supporting the same beast that came before, which was the Roman Empire. So really, you're coming up against the authority of Yahweh Shemiel Shai, which all in all, if you worshiping or you support anything that America supports, then you're pretty much an enemy of the Most High, man. All right. Now it's verse 13. It said, and he doeth great wonders, so he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. All right. And it's like it. I'm reading again. Saying he do a great wonder, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. All right. So what it's talking about is pretty much it's missile capabilities, man. All right. That's why it speaks about making fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, because that fire that comes down from heaven, it represents the thermonuclear missiles. All right. Now, bearing you in mind about what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fire and brimstone, which came down from the heavens. All right. The skies. All right. Because that's another thing, too. It's just, especially the word heaven, man, because people think that's talking about, a place where, you got babies with diapers with wings and stuff like that. No, man, you have different definitions for the word heaven, man. All right. But in this precept, for the sake of time, in this precept where it speaks about heaven, speaking about the atmosphere. All right. It's like it. It's verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. All right. So here's right here, man. It says it deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of the miracles. In other words, saying that, we're the best military out there, pretty much no one can beat the military, the American military. That's what they're saying today, man. These people out here, especially Jake too, 2/3 of Jake, they think that nothing can take down the American army, American military, man. All right. Which had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now that image, which is going to get into, that image is speaking about the system. All right. Now I brought out before, or I mentioned before or earlier, should I say, in this live stream was where I spoke about the system and the way is built, especially the government and legislation, mandates and stuff like that that's set up here in America. This whole system that you see, especially the point where it speaks about bringing in all different cultures and nationalities and stuff like that. That's the image of the beast, man. because that's the way Rome was too. All right, because Rome pretty much had a diversity of different religions and cultures, man. All right, but you still had Rome was that ruling power back then. All right, so that image to the beast is this system. All right, said which had the wound by a sword and did live, man. And it said verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. So pretty much you have this giving life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that means not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So in other words, we got to coming up into the precept where it speaks about this power being given to the life of the image of the beast. All right. Why is that? Because if you pretty much if you don't follow what they tell you to do, so to speak, or whatever they have, in their legislation and their laws, if you don't follow that, especially concerning these other nations, then guess what? That's pretty much cause for a war, man. All right. But not only that, for the the common people, pretty much it's gonna come to a point in time to where they're not gonna have no choice but to or should I say they're gonna be given an ultimatum whether to worship the image of the beast or be killed. All right. Now it's about to explain that in his next verse. It says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. So there you go, man. That's pretty much what's going to lead up to. So you're going to be given a choice whether you worship the image of the beast or you're going to be killed. All right. And by the way he's going to do that is by the mark of the beast, which is the microchip. Okay. So that's the ultimatum, man. Whether you're going to take the chip and live or don't take the chip and die. All right. That's the ultimatum you're going to be met up with. But us here in Great Millstone, the men of the Lord, the men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the prophets, we're not going to take that mark. We're not going to take that chip. All right. And see, Esau doesn't understand that our lives are going to be preserved in that day. All right. That are pretty much we're going to be preserved from the fear of evil, man. Since we don't take that mark, because we have the understanding of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, we have the knowledge. Because like it says, Isaiah 33:6, man, it said, for wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of their times, man. Okay. So therefore, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is not going to leave his servants out in the open like that, man. All right. He's a righteous power. Okay. Now, verse 17 saying that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay. So you won't be able to buy or sell whatsoever. You won't be able to do any form of business, getting your groceries, getting stuff that you need. You're not gonna be able to get that unless you don't have that mark, man. Okay. So if you don't have it, you ain't gonna be able to function in society. You're not gonna be able to live. But like I said before, the men of the Lord are gonna be preserved, man. All right. They're gonna be preserved in that day because they refuse to bow down, man. They refuse to bow down to Esau. Okay. And it says, verse 18, which is the last verse, it says, here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 603 And the reason why is the number 6 is because it's the number of man. So in other words, it's physical. Okay. So this mark, which was received in the right hand of the forehead, is actually physical, which you're gonna be given a choice whether to take it or not, man. And which that mark is the microchip, the RFID microchip, the NFC chip, or what have you. All right, depending on what location you're in. Okay. But if you go into that word mark, right? That word mark goes to the word the Greek word charagma, which means something that's implanted, right? And if you go into the word charagma, the root word of charagma, which goes to the word charax, it's breaks down to the word a stake or a pail, in which you use a stake or a pail to drive into the ground. So guess what? That mark is going to be driven into your skin, man. It's going to be implanted, like it says in the word charagma, or the definition of the word charagma. All right. And especially it says in their right hand or in their forehead. So you know, by reading comprehension, it's going to be inserted within the skin, man. Okay. So, that pretty much does it for this this live stream. Just going through Revelation 13, but like I said before, this is sharpening iron, man. All right. Keeping that oil replenished. Just for the journey, man. Which this is a journey. All right. So with that, man, hopefully the Akim will edify with this live stream. And until next time, I'll be coming out with another live stream pretty soon, man. All right. So with that, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and blessings and shalom and peace and safety to the hopeful elect that's also doing this work in all faith, truth, and sincerity. And till next time, I'm gonna say shalom, man, and stay up.